Well, greetings, friends. My name is David McLeod. I am your life mastery coach and the creator of this program, Soul Empowerment. And here we are on episode 75. Can you believe that? 75 or 74 episodes we've completed. We're starting our 75th today. It's getting close to my age now, actually. What I have noticed today, I just seem to run out of time. Time just seems to be compressing around me. I don't know if you've noticed this yourself, but everything in the world is happening now. It's like pressure is building. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. And so I'm finding it challenging to stay grounded and centered. And I know other people are experiencing that problem too. So we have to kind of plan further ahead than normal. So anyway, that's just me making excuses for not being here right on the nick of time. But we're going to have a great conversation anyway. We're talking today about healing. And the question that came up for us during our last conversation, our group meeting, our group planning meeting was, how much healing is possible? Is there a limit? Do we ever stop healing? And it's a profound question. And I think something that we really need to be addressing because I think there's just so much amazing wisdom here. But before I go any further, I would like to give my co-hosts an opportunity to introduce themselves. And today I'm going to start with you, Eileen. Since I think this is your first time here, I want to thank you for joining our little team and being one of the people to co-host us. So please tell us who you are, where you are, what you do, and why.
Okay, so actually, just to be clear, I came as a guest just to visit on the last show and couldn't keep my mouth shut. So it's really my second time here. And I'm very grateful. This has been very interesting. My whole life has been about healing this week in particular. So I'm Eileen Dillon, and I've been a psychotherapist and a marriage counselor and a coach for about 54 years now, 54. And I write and I give speeches, and my expertise, my focus at this point is on emotions, on realigning with emotions, which means working with them the way they are designed to work for us, which I believe most of us have never learned how the system works, and I'm dedicated to teaching that system.
Yes, and it's a powerful system on top of that. So I really appreciate having you as a member of our team. Thank you for showing up for the second time, the first time. Whatever. I don't know what I mean by that. But anyway, next I'm going to turn my attention to you, Scott. Please tell us who you are, where you are, what you do, and why.
Hi, Scott Holmes from Boston. I deal with professional men and women for them to find their authentic selves. Why do I do it? Well, I took the journey, lived to tell the tale, and I want to help people find their journey, to find who they really are, to be able to live in this beautiful world, to be able to have conversations like this, and to be able to participate in the world.
Beautiful. You live to tell the tale. I like that. And you've been telling a lot of tales, I understand. You've been doing a lot of writing.
Oh, yes, we've been writing quite a bit, as we all have, I believe. And that's the magic of the communication, whether it's this venue or writing, giving our opinions, giving our advice, giving our expertise, giving our wisdom of, if you'll notice, we're all over the age of 30. And so it does indeed mean we have experience. And that's where the beauty comes in with this discussion.
Right. Yeah. And age is just a number. Doesn't really mean anything. I think wisdom is available to all of us, for sure. Certainly, I think one thing I know for myself is I was much more open to wisdom once I got past 30, 40 years old. Then I started opening up to it, because prior to that, I just simply thought I had it all figured out, and I taught myself in the hard way that that wasn't true. Anyway, Sarah, I noticed that your background is a lot more illuminated this time than usual. I take it that's because we are in the crossover period between when we start daylight savings time and you start daily. Is that right?
It's only 5 o'clock in the afternoon here, and we've actually got blue sky and we've had sunshine today. So
Right.
yes, by the time we finish this, I might be thinking I need to put a light on. But
Right.
yes, there is some actual daylight coming through the window.
Nice. So just tell the audience who you are, where you are, what you do, and why.
Well, I'm Sarah Jane, and if you haven't guessed, I'm actually in the UK. So our time, we're now only 4 hours difference, or up to 7 hours difference to the USA at the moment, rather than the normal 5 and 8.
Right.
I work with energy, but the main thing that I feel I'm here to bring is to do with my own healing journey, is the healing of the traumatized child within me. Becoming open to and aware of the whole situation around what happened, not just the black and white understanding of a tiny little tot who just couldn't understand what was going on, just felt the energies of abandonment, rejection, etc., etc. And that's what I'm here to help people to do. I've connected with my own inner child. I had some support from others, but a lot of the work I actually did myself. And I understood that as much as I required support, being proactive in your own healing journey is so important. Mm-hmm. And then that's what I help people to do. But within the sessions, they have to participate within the session. Because if they don't, nothing's going to happen. Right. But when we connect with the child and we help that younger self to feel seen, listened to, heard, they've got a voice. It makes so much difference to you as the adult, because I really feel as the child goes through the healing journey, because it's never a one time does it all. I really feel as the child builds their confidence, so does the confidence within us, the adult who's working with that aspect of themselves. So sort of that's what I help people to do, because I can't do it for you. Right, and it's my passion to do that. But I also love the writing. I love talking. I give talks. I'm happy to do all of that. And I think we're all happy talking. So I'll be quiet now.
Well, one thing I'll say is you've kind of given us a perfect segue really into our topic today. You're talking about healing the inner child. And I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. Some people may actually have never heard of that terminology. Healing, what do you mean, healing my inner child? My child is long gone. I'm an adult now, blah, blah, blah. That's how they talk. And a lot of people, I guess, don't really understand that some of the things that happened during childhood may have been very traumatic, very painful, very wounding, and have left lasting impacts on our bodies, our minds, our emotions, our souls. Everything about it is really, really important. And so the terminology, working with your inner child might seem a little bit strange, but effectively what you're doing is you're going back and looking at those old situations that may have caused some serious wounding and looking for ways to heal them now as an adult, because you may not have been able to do it when you were a child. And that's really what that's all about. So thank you, Sarah, for bringing that up. Now let's just talk about healing now. I mean, I think what I'd like to do is open up the floor and just have a conversation. What exactly is healing? Does anybody have how would you define it?
Okay. To me, it's about coming to an understanding, accepting, loving who you've been, all aspects of you. Because I suppose the healing I'm talking about is on a much deeper level. It's cellular memory level, it's the emotions, it's not necessarily about a physical wound. With some of the trauma and emotion, the emotional aspects of trauma, they can be to do with a physical wound. But there's going to be things deeper than the physical wound. If somebody has broken your arm, you're going to have all right, no, let's go for the jaw, because that did happen to me. Somebody's broken your jaw, which the dentist did, which was part of my wake-up call. That was physically done, so-called as part of a procedure to extract a wisdom tooth. But it caused so much physical pain. But actually, it was the catalyst that caused me to start taking my life back. So sometimes what can appear to be a pain and a trauma and an injury can be your catalyst. So not everything as we immediately think of it as being. But the bone could only heal itself because the body healed it. I didn't heal, the dentist didn't heal it, the operation didn't heal it. Nobody else healed that bone but my physical being. So that became healed as part of how beautiful a cut on our skin. Body heals it. Mm-hmm. But the healing that is most important is, for me, that child who now feels seen and heard and listened to. And she is comfortable in her skin. And for me, that is healing. It's being able to get to the depths of what the body has actually tried to say that it gave me in the broken jaw. There was aspects of me that were saying, I'm here, please listen, and working with that.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Eileen, what's your take? How would you describe healing just as a general term?
You know, as I've been thinking about this, I kept thinking about dogs. Now, dogs, as they're connected to us humans, many of them are getting ill and getting human type illnesses and so forth. But in the wild state, dogs don't think about, am I healthy or am I not healthy? They eat things that are good for them. Their body maintains itself until it doesn't, and then they leave, right? And what that brought me to is that healing really is about either returning to or maintaining a state of stasis, of normalcy, of energy that most all of us are born with, that we need healing because of resistance, talking about inner child healing. We don't like to feel pain. We don't like things going wrong. We get scared to take risks to heal ourselves or to look at things that are painful. And that resistance itself creates pain and a need for healing. I was going to mention in 2017, after 5 years of taking care of my husband, who was dealing with cancer and died, I was diagnosed with a breast cancer, a very small breast cancer, and drove my family crazy because I didn't have it removed right away. It was a slow growing one, but instead I wanted to experiment with healing. And so I did a raw diet, totally for a year. I gave myself a year, a raw diet. I did Qigong. And I also processed anger. I found out that many women whose husbands are ill for a long time develop breast cancer. What do you know? And so I worked with those three things, drove my family crazy. They were telling me I was stupid, that you couldn't heal with diet, etc. Make a story short, I was working with the head of breast oncology surgery at Duke Medical Center in North Carolina, who was supportive of what I was doing, although she reminded me I am a surgeon and my preference would be to just cut it out. At the end of the year, the cancer was not healed, but it had not grown at all. And I did have her remove it. And that's been 8 years now. No, in 2018. So what is that? Yeah, 8 years in March. And I've had no recurrence. I didn't have to do chemo or radiation or anything like that. And part of that issue was to not resist the fact that cancer was in my body. So doing that left me without fear. And I think a lot of illness that needs healing really is our own internal resistance.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Scott, what's your initial take on this topic? What is healing?
When we talk about healing and we go to the doctor, they give us a pill. Now we think the doctor is the healer. No. The doctor gives you medication. Why do they give you medication? To put your body in a position to be able to heal itself. That is the entire premise of medicine, to be able to heal yourself. Now, when we talk about doing work with clients and they said, "Oh, you're a healer," Lord, I hate that. Only because what we do is we bring understanding, we bring presence, we can help alter how they take energy in to be able to allow the body to deal with what they're dealing with, whether it's emotional, physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, in that way. Eileen, you had said something about, the friction, and it's that fear. I'm sure we all know somebody in our lives who is kind of fear driven. Everything they do is through fear. Oh my God, what if something goes wrong? What if this and what if that? And invariably, they end up with an illness. Now, I've talked to people when I talk about Reiki and polarity and all the different modalities, and they say that stuff can't cure anything. Okay. So if you're anxious all the time or angry all the time, have you ever heard of an ulcer? Well, yeah.
Mhm.
Do you think if you weren't stressed or you didn't worry about things, would you have that ulcer? Oh, probably not. So all of these emotions manifested itself in your stomach and it produced all of that and caused an illness. Interesting. So emotions can affect your health. It can affect you physically. It can manifest physically. So why can't it also be positive? The right frame of mind, the right diet, the right everything all the way down the line. Can that not allow your body to be put in a position? It is a miracle. This earth suit that we're in, it is a miracle in and of itself. The number of functions that go on second to second. The transmission, you touch your fingers and you can feel it. You bang your toe, you can feel it automatically. The transmission is almost instantaneous. It is a miracle. Allowing the body to heal, or the perception of healing.
Right.
And next time through, I want to talk about, why does healing hurt? You get in a car accident and you get really banged up, and it hurts. It takes a while to get back, the muscles, everything. And what do? You rest, right? You put your body in a position to be able to heal. So you rest in bed. You put your leg up because it hurts. Whatever it takes, you put yourself in a position to heal. When we talk about healing energetically, it's the same way, to be able to just align everything, get it. When you're feeling good and everything's lined up and everything kind of goes well, you're writing, you're doing whatever it is you love, and everything lines up. That's where I want to help people get to, is that alignment, so that everything is working well.
Well, thank you
David.
for all of that. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff to kind of digest. But it's all right. I was hungry, so it's no problem. I have a very, very simple definition of healing that I really like. Healing for me is a journey towards wholeness. That's all it is. It's a process. It's a continual process. Something that, if I choose to do it. Now, of course, like any journey, I can stand still in one place for as long as I want. And I can even turn around and go backwards if I like. And sometimes going backwards might actually be of benefit to me. But ultimately, if I want to proceed on my journey, I have to take those steps. And those steps to me are holistic steps. It's not just the body. So far, most of our conversation has to do with healing the body. But healing the body is only a tiny, tiny fraction of the issue. We have to heal our hearts and our minds and our souls as well. And in reality, I don't think the soul can be damaged, but our connection to the soul can be damaged. And so if I'm not feeling that connection to my soul, what healing can I do? Well, maybe it's like Sarah says, it's a work with your inner child to find out what your inner child needs. Or maybe it does involve doing some body work. Sometimes just going for a massage. Have you ever gone just for a massage for no reason? Just because you say, I'm gonna have a little spa day. You go for a massage. And what does that do? I don't know what it does for you, but when I have a massage, I get suspended into a completely different zone. It feels great having somebody's hands working on the muscles and loosening those knots and stuff. But that's just a tiny part of it. I find myself elevated above the table and just floating in this beautiful presence that I can't really describe. So and to me, that is very healing. So I feel myself moving closer to that deeper connection with my soul. So I don't know, that's how I see it. And so when I see it that way, that's part of where the question comes from. Well, how far can I go on this journey? It doesn't appear to be any destination out there that I can see. Maybe there is, and I'm not at a level where I can see it yet. But at this point, it feels like it's a journey that can continue as long as I want it to. And so the more I bring love and gratitude and forgiveness and compassion into my own life, the more my healing seems to blossom and the more whole I feel. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just my perspective on it. I don't know, Scott, you said you wanted to talk about why healing hurts. I think that's a great question. But, typically, for me personally, the only time I've ever noticed pain during a healing session is when it's my body that's doing the healing. I don't notice that so much when it's an emotional issue. Although I will say sometimes when I get deep down into an emotional issue, there's the pain of releasing it, and maybe that's what the pain is all about. Maybe it's just I've been so tight, my muscles and my entire being has been so tight that when that moment comes, when I finally go like this, oh my God, it's kind of like having your leg, you're sitting on your leg for a long time. You're not damaging it necessarily, but you're sitting there for a long time. After a while, you notice pins and needles or something, that weird feeling of the blood flow has slowed down. And what happens when you stand up? God, I don't know about you, but I practically fall down. It just feels weird, It's not necessarily painful, but it's certainly uncomfortable. Anyway, that's just my take on it.
Can I give an illustration on this that I had this week?
Absolutely.
Okay, we all know Laura DeFranco, who's our publisher. All of us have worked with her. She connected me with a woman named Sandra Lee, who surprised me, came for a visit on Friday. And
nice.
in mid-October, she lives 2 states away from me. In mid-October, I tore my Achilles tendon. And I've been working with it. I was supposed to have surgery, but they took so long to get to the surgery that it started healing on its own. But it left me walking flat-footed. And after we had lunch, Sandra looked at me and said, "I want to give you a massage." And I didn't even know she did massage, right? But she came back to my van here and she proceeded to work with using a tuning fork, a very unusual kind of massage, but basically she was working with the fascia on the backs of my legs to loosen it so that I could move my feet and walk normally. And she accomplished that feat. Now, mind you, I've been going to physical therapy, to doctors, to nurses, to, doing my own home exercises to accomplish this. She accomplished it in 45 minutes.
Amazing.
And I can now walk normally. And the next morning, she sends me a little message from her drive on the road going, "You may experience some soreness, and here's what you can do about it." And I realized I didn't experience soreness at all. It hurt. It was really painful, Scott, when she was doing the fascia massage. But when talking about resistance, I was focusing on letting energy move through me and breathing and not resisting what she was doing. And in actual fact, I had no soreness at all from this very profound probing and prodding of my body. And I know we're on body again, but it was so profound to me that I just wanted to share it.
No, that's beautiful. And, we cannot not talk about the body. Sorry. We're here in this physical form right now, so it's going to be top of mind for most of us. And so absolutely. I mean, the body is it's like the portal, if you like. But I really love the way you described this, because your process was really a process of release. You're giving yourself permission to say, okay, this is painful, and the more I resist, the more painful it's going to be. So I'm going to choose to release the pain as quickly as possible by allowing my body to just relax to the maximum extent possible. Some people say, well, that sounds weird. I mean, my body's just going to do what it's going to do. To some extent, that's true. But this is bringing in the spiritual and the mental and the emotional simultaneously to facilitate the body in its own healing. That's what you're doing. And I mean, all of us can do that. We all are empowered to do that. We are amazing beings. Like Scott said, we're miracles. We're miracles on wheels. It's pretty fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, Eileen. Scott, did you have something you were going to add to that?
I was going to I think Sarah was next.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I love the fact that you said it was the tuning forks. We're talking sound energy. We're talking vibration. We are all a vibration. Our aches, pains, illnesses, ailments, stresses, strains are our vibration out of sync. And seriously, the energy of the right sound can bring that vibration back into sync. And I've got a couple of little stories I'm going to add to this. It was about 15 years ago, so it was it was the Christmas before my dad died, and my youngest sister was doing Christmas lunch at her place. And bless her cotton socks, she'd put a metal saucepan with cotton socks, yeah.
I love it. Just keep doing it. I love those phrases.
She'd put a metal saucepan with a metal handle into the hot oven, and she went to take it out with her bare hand. I became aware, and Jackie, what have you done? Because she was running her hand under the cold tap. And I said, oh, just let me do a little bit of sound on it. I did not touch her hand, but I put my hands either side, top and bottom, and I just toned to her hand. And it's a few steps back to the kitchen, tiny area, and from the dining room where we were. And she said afterwards, she said, Sarah, the pain while you were doing that. She said, when the second I stepped into the kitchen, the pain disappeared. And it was only after lunch I said to her, how's your hand? She'd forgotten all about it. No blister, no redness, nothing.
That's beautiful.
That was because the vibration for somehow I offered. And some years ago, I was in it wasn't a mind, body, spirit, it was just an event. And we had a stand doing lots of different tasters of different techniques and practices. And again, it was working with the sound. This guy had been in a road accident earlier that week. Everything in his body had been jarred. But he'd basically been told by the hospital, nothing you can do about it, get on with it, mate. He was walking around really uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked him into having a taster. I said, it's not going to cost you $5, because we're going back a bit. And so he agreed and he sat down. And at that stage, I was working hands-on. Not that I'd have worked hands-on with my sister in the hand. And my hands were so gentle on his back. There was absolutely no pressure from me. I toned to his back, but because I knew where my hands were, I felt what happened, and his whole body shifted.
Wow.
He came back and saw me later that day, and he said, I feel better than I did before the accident.
Very nice.
People may think, oh, they're miracles. No, it's just offering. All I did was offer the body a tool to support it to do what it needed to do to support the individual. As you said, Scott, I hate people calling me a healer. I am not a healer. The only person I can help heal is me. I can support people by offering energy. And that's the important thing. We have to be proactive. If neither one of them had let me do that, nothing would have happened. They would have been stuck with whatever the outcome. But they both agreed. And it was totally right for them at that point in time. So I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Well, come on, Sarah. You always downplay this. You may have been in the right place at the right time, but you offer your healing energy in the form of unconditional love, and you manifest it through the toning. And what I think is happening here, I believe it is a miracle, and you might as well just own it. It is a miracle. There's nothing wrong with owning that. There are miracles all around us all the time. So, and you just happen to be a miracle facilitator. I think that's great. So keep up the good work. I love that you do that. But I think, if you came in there and you started toning, but you didn't have that unconditional loving energy behind it, I don't think it would work the same. It has to do with your intention. It has to do with the kind of being that you are in this world, the kind of energy that you bring. That's really what I think is happening here, because I'm sure there's 1,000 other people who do the same thing that you do and don't get the same results because they don't have that same intention coming from their heart. And I also believe, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it has to do with how you went through that very, very difficult challenge in your childhood. When you got scalded with that hot tea. I think that that event, well, you probably came into this world with all this amazing, beautiful, unconditional love anyway. But my point is that event helped you to kind of bring it more into service for other people in the world. That's my belief. So I'm just projecting all my judgments on you, and one of these, maybe later I'll go back and I'll take my projections and realize maybe there's a part of me that's the same way. So that's another form of healing, by the way. Recognizing our own judgments and our own projections, and seeing that we're so much the same in so many ways.
But isn't it about accepting the fact that we all bring our own unique gifts?
Of course.
And those gifts are very much brought through us by our own particular journeys.
Yeah.
So it's learning from our own journeys. And I channel the sound. So, but yes, you're right. The intention is for the higher.
Yeah. I know you like to. You don't want to take center stage and take all the accolades that come for it. I understand that. That's completely normal. And it's okay too to just quietly recognize, yeah, I can do this. This is what I'm good at. This is why people seek me out. So I'm saying that because I love you, Sarah. I think what you offer is absolutely amazing. So thank you.
And I would suggest ditto. What David said about Miss Sarah, she comes to life into every situation in spades and with pure intention and unconditional love. I wanted to talk about, we talked about how much healing can you do? And when you get in on this journey, there are generational traumas that happen. There are family traumas that happen. Past lives, depending on your belief system, past lives where do we come here to continue the quest? Do we come here to continue the journey? Do we come here to learn the lessons maybe that we continued from past lives? And it's the family. They talk about 7 years one way, 7 generations one way, and 7 generations another. When we heal ourselves, when we heal back and we heal forward. When I was in, everybody's telling stories, so I'm going to tell one. So was in Peru at the Condor Temple. The Condor Temple is this huge rock. It looks like the head of a condor. So they did a ritual where we called in from Mother Earth, and we called in the golden serpent. And that basically was almost like a kundalini coming up through. And they said, once you do the ritual, you're going to put your hands on this rock. And it's going to take all of that energy away, all the energy you want to release. It takes it all away. And so I did the ritual and not thinking anything of it. I put my hands on the rock, and all of a sudden, I am breaking down. I am sobbing hysterically. Now, this is a man who cries once every 10 years, whether he needs to or not. But I am sobbing hysterically. And I can't catch my breath. And it kept coming and coming and coming. And I'm the whole time I'm just, what is this? What is this? I don't recognize this. And it just kept coming. And all of a sudden I could catch my breath, and I slowly, and as I turned around, 2 of the group came over and just hugged me. And it took me a long time to really think about and feel through what happened. And I think that it was generational for me. All of those things that are passed down, they always talk about, and Sarah, I know you talked about it any number of times, the traumas that happen while you're in vitro, before you're born, the everything that happens before, and everything that has been passed down into your gene, into your cellular memory, into all of that. And this for me was that type of healing. And it was amazing. I didn't realize that I carried that. And so when we talk, again, we're talking about how far can healing go? Well, does it go back 7 generations to those that have already been? Does it go forward 7 generations? As I've been told, in many different modalities have said that very similar things. And where can we heal consciousness of everything? A lot of people who do meditations, when they give out healing energy, they send out good vibes, they send out energy to everyone to be able to elevate. everyone. And I believe, by the way, that this panel of 4, in each in our own way, helps elevate everyone, to heal everyone. It raises the level of consciousness, raises the level of awareness, raises the level of unconditional love all the way through. I wish more and more people could understand those concepts so that they live it and bring it, and it just keeps and continues to ripple outward.
Yeah, I totally agree with that statement. I have a belief that the tiniest little bit of healing I do just for me has a positive ripple effect. And I like the visualization of the 7 generations forward and the 7 generations back. But I also like the idea of just rippling out throughout the universe, you know. I also wanted to say one other thing about, you talked about that rock, that rock draws all these, whatever, the resistance or everything out of you. I've always had a belief that every energy form throughout the universe, whether it appears to be alive or not in our way of thinking, is still a part of all that is and has a purpose in this universe. So that rock that you're talking about, okay, so it doesn't necessarily have the same kind of consciousness that you do, but that doesn't mean to say it's not conscious. It emanates out of the same field of consciousness that everything else does, so therefore it must be imbued with some level of consciousness. In fact, maybe the rock is so conscious that it doesn't need to move. It stays perfectly still and present all the time. Nobody ever talks about it that way. They say, oh, it's dead. Well, maybe we ought to think again. Maybe we ought to reappraise things that we have made judgments about in our lives. So Eileen, what's one practice that you do that helps you? Oh, you want to chime in on this topic?
I want to tie some of this together using my work with emotions, because emotions are about energy, emotions are about blockages, emotions are about healing, and my belief that the earth is a big giant school to which we all have come in order to grow. We've been alluding to this, but I'll put it in a more concrete form, more like a rock, that we've come here in order to grow. And so what I advocate is that every time we have an experience, that especially those that bring up big emotions, we recognize that's an opportunity to grow. That's an opportunity to complete something. And it could go 7 generations both directions, or it could be just for us. But the only tool I have is myself, as you said, Sarah, and you didn't say it exactly that way. And the only time I have that I can make change is in the present. And so each of us, since we're all connected and we're all here on a learning journey, we can utilize emotions, which are designed to show us the role of emotions that I have identified is that they help us to decode our experiences so we understand, or we can get to what the lesson is that's in our experience. And so when we work with emotions and we dedicate ourselves to learning, and all of that deals with vibration, emotions are energy, then we raise ourselves. And as you were saying, David, we also raise everything else in our environment. We, as you were saying, Scott, we go from generation to generation. I was so surprised. Probably about 7 years ago, I had a reading with Elizabeth Wisen, who's a very wonderful psychic. She calls herself seer and scientist. And I said, okay, everybody's talking about I could heal from the past generations. Tell me, can you help me heal all the garbage that I've inherited from my predecessors? And from my knowledge, there was a lot there. And she was quiet for a while. And then she said, I'm not finding anything. The work you've been doing with yourself has apparently removed it all. It's not there. And that was profound for me, because I don't have to take somebody else's pill. I don't even have to ask you for your help. Although sometimes I will want to or need to ask somebody for help, because we're all connected. But every day I can make a habit of looking at my own experience, identifying what I need to learn, and learning that lesson. And what's so important is the second that lesson is learned, we are finished with that issue. We don't have to keep repeating it. We don't have to keep enduring the blockages and the resistance that come along with them. So, the point of healing, from what I'm saying, is everybody listening to this, seeing this, it's up to us. We do it. And when we do it for ourselves, we feel better. We stay healthier. We don't get sick as much. We don't need as much healing. And every time I heal myself, I heal my world, the people around me, and the other people in the world. Every bit of improved consciousness is beneficial to all of us.
Yeah, exactly right. As you were speaking,
you.
I think what's coming up for me right now is the power of prayer. The idea that, a lot of people have this idea that prayer is, begging some external entity for some things in my life to make me happier. That seems to be certainly children tend to believe that kind of idea about prayer. But really, for me, prayer is a form of meditation. It is a form of inviting in healing energies to support me and to support everyone in my environment. And sometimes, if I know someone who's having a struggle of some kind, it could be a physical struggle or emotional struggle, whatever, I often will pray that the energies can be directed to that person in such a way that he or she can benefit from this energy and use it in whatever way works best for him or her. Now, I know, Sarah, you have a different way of saying that. Would you talk a little bit about how you introduce prayer into your practice, how you use it?
Prayer is a word I struggle with, having been raised a Catholic, but when I'm working with the energy, I ask, if you like, all dimensions of me, my angels and spirit guides. But I refer to creator, source, rather than necessarily God. So absolutely, and I say my gratitudes on a daily basis. But I ask their support and the individual's guides and guardians' support with the opening of the channel for them to accept or reject as they choose for their highest good. It's about them. It's not about me. I'm offering them that energy. And I've heard too many people say, I give the energy. I don't. I offer it. Giving means, to me, says, I'm the one who's controlling this. Offering it means the individual in control, or the body, the higher self, is the individual that I'm working with. And so for me, it's offering it. And that intention is always for their highest good, staying out of, being totally detached from the outcome. I'm human. Of course, I want to know it works. But somebody could have a session and not be aware of anything. But what was necessary has actually been done for them. It's just at a different level. Nobody I would say nobody really gets nothing from a session. They just don't necessarily know they've received something.
Yeah,
And when
nice.
I've used light language, I had one guy one time say, haven't got a clue what you said, but I know it's been filed away from to when I need it. And an understanding, a deeper understanding of accepting that it wasn't the right time, but it's been taken on board.
I like that. Yeah. Scott, what's your perspective on this idea of praying for other people?
Well, I send healing energy to people often. I have friends who say, "Hey, can you pray for my mom? She's going through a hard time." Or so what I do is I send the energy, and I tell them it's in a bag next to your bed. Take it when you need it. Accept it when you can. And the concept was brought to me years ago. Because if somebody's driving or somebody's involved in something, you don't want to interrupt their flow. And so they said, well, just leave it for them. I said, what do you mean? He said, just leave the energy. They can take it when they need it. And I love that concept. And much like prayer, I was raised Protestant, then Catholic, and then now I don't quite know what I am. But I believe in the power of prayer, of intention, of unconditional love, and the strength of that love to be able to send it to other people. We all have friends that we get a ping and then they call. We have those connections with people, right? In the same way, we can send that energy, good wishes, unconditional love. And in my case, I use the healing energy that I just put in a packet, and they can use it when they need it. So
Lovely.
it's really interesting when you look at it that there is safety in that. And I wanted to bring up just one, is because I wrote down, is healing safety? And there is when you have healed from something, whether it's emotional, spiritual, or any other way, there's a calmness that comes over you. And for me, that's been the experience, is that there is, as Eileen said, less friction, right? That it's, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. And then it gets settled into me. So for me, healing is kind of that really feeling safe in myself.
Nice. I like it. Yeah. Eileen, your perspective on prayer.
Well, I too grew up in Protestant, Methodist, whatever, and I'm now spiritual, not religious. And I think prayer really is opening ourselves to a flow or peace that facilitates all of this. And it goes along with something we've talked around a little bit, but I'd like to make it a little clearer, which is that each person who comes to this earth is individually responsible for his or her life. Nobody else is responsible for us. But in that is also a power, which is that we are co-creators. We can move toward what we want, and the best way to move toward it, as we've been talking, is through developing inner peace, allowing things to move through us, relating to the energy. And so when you pray for somebody, to my mind, I'm sending peace to people and envisioning that whatever they have identified as what's right for them can arrive to them and sustain them. I think that's more my picture of praying. And I don't know if I really relate if I can pray for somebody else, but I can certainly rely on what I have to send a particular kind of energy and support to others, and I don't have to be standing right next to them or touching them to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thank you for that. I know that we're getting close to the top of the hour here, even though we haven't quite completed an hour's worth of recording. So I want to honor everybody's time. And, the way I'd like to close this session out is I really want Sarah to give us her light language, because it's so beautiful. It speaks directly to the soul, completely bypassing your thinking mind, and just open your heart and listen.
Yoi tinaka hashtanoi kurmangai chiata, nantara an choi kina, ka altara ka che me, te akata a, koiana ta a shiamakata, te ara ka lea tai mi, nantara ka che, ti akatoroi, nantara kan che mia. Noia kataya kateana, te ara nata e shi, I ara lonto e act tena, se ora nantare ki chi. Toita, tentaraka chea teaka, testara conchea matakate, soikam, cantara keche, lantare ne act no chaya mataya. Namaste.
Oh, wow. I could hardly sustain myself. I was trying not to giggle out loud, because that's what the energy was I was feeling. It was touching my soul and just tickling me. It was great. Thank you so much for that, Sarah. And thank you, Eileen and Scott, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you to those of you who are watching the recording. I just want to give you all lots of love, light, and blessings on your continuing journey. And we'll see you again here next time on Soul Empowerment. Bye-bye for now.